Imagine you blink, and suddenly your ceiling is a whole new sky. Your phone looks like a giant black skyscraper. And a single crumb on the floor is now dinner for a week. Yep. In today's What If, every human on Earth instantly shrinks down to the size of an ant. Same brains, same personalities, same problems. Just packed into a body that's now tiny enough to fit on a penny. And the world does not adjust with you. First problem, your clothes. They don't shrink. So for about 5 seconds, humanity is wearing the world's largest tents. Then gravity does its thing, and you're basically trapped under a blanket made of denim. Assuming you wiggle out, you'll notice something scary. Everything is huge and everything is heavy. A door handle might as well be a mountain. A staircase becomes a cliff. Even getting onto your couch is now an extreme sport. And speaking of sports, walking is weird now. At ant size, your legs are short, but your muscles are relatively strong for your size. So you can lift and jump better than you could as a normal human. Congrats! You're now a tiny superhero. But the superhero vibe ends fast, because the air itself is different. Dust is no longer a little annoying. It's boulders. A light breeze feels like someone turned on a leaf blower. And if it starts raining, those aren't raindrops. Those are water balloons falling from the sky. Now let's talk about temperature. When you're small, you lose heat way faster. So a normal 70-degree room might feel chilly. A cold night could become dangerous. You'd be searching for warmth like a lizard with a Wi-Fi addiction. Next up, food and water. Good news, you don't need much. One grape could feed a whole family. Bad news, accessing food is now a mission. Your fridge is basically a smooth metal fortress. And opening a bag of chips is like trying to break into a bank using only your fingernails. Water is even trickier. A normal cup of water is now a swimming pool. And falling into it would be like getting dropped into the deep end with your shoes on. You'd need tiny ropes, tiny buckets, and a whole lot of teamwork just to get a drink safely. Now, let's get to the part everyone is thinking. Bugs. If humans shrink to ant size, we're officially entering the "you are not the main character anymore" zone. An average house spider suddenly becomes a lion. A cat becomes a moving mountain with paws. And a vacuum cleaner? That thing is now a roaring tornado of death. Even ants, your new size cousins, would be a problem. They're strong, organized, and they do not negotiate. Imagine walking outside and realizing you've moved into a neighborhood run by tiny bodybuilders with zero chill. And then there's transportation. Cars are useless. Bikes are impossible. Planes are a joke. The fastest way to travel might be riding a dog, which sounds fun until the dog shakes, and you get launched into next week. So what would humans do? We'd cluster together fast. Apartments, malls, schools, anywhere with shelter becomes a mini-city. People would build tiny bridges, ramps, and elevator systems out of whatever they can find. Paper clips become construction beams. Toothpicks become spears. And a single shoebox becomes prime real estate. But here comes the big reveal. The real shock isn't the bugs. It's the silence. Because our voices would change. When you're tiny, your vocal cords are tiny too. So instead of normal talking, we'd sound like squeaky little cartoon characters. Imagine an entire world full of people trying to give serious speeches while sounding like rubber duck toys. And communication gets worse, because our technology doesn't shrink. Phones are too big. Keyboards are unusable. Radios are giant. The internet basically becomes a museum exhibit. So suddenly, the most powerful thing on earth isn't money or fame. It's whoever can organize people face to face. This turns into a survival story where leadership matters more than likes. Over time, humans would adapt. We'd make tiny tools, tiny farms, tiny water systems. We'd learn to use the world's leftovers in a smarter way. A dropped sandwich could feed hundreds. A fallen tree leaf becomes a roof. We'd basically become the ultimate recycling civilization. And honestly, the planet might breathe a little easier. Less pollution, less resource use, fewer giant buildings swallowing land. The world would feel bigger, quieter, and wilder again. But it would also be terrifying, because for the first time in human history, we wouldn't be the biggest thing in the room. We'd still be clever, still ambitious, still human, just small enough to finally notice how enormous everything else really is. If you enjoyed this tiny nightmare, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments. Would you rather shrink to ant size in your house, in a forest, or in a grocery store?